to call to order tonight the February 20th, 2024 Planning Board meeting. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Staff has an additional presentation for GIS mapping.
Yes, so we'll make that F3, and then we'll need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So we'll be adding to F3 for staff GIS presentation as amended. I got a motion. Seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Moving in, I'd like to go to item C for minutes of correction from our January 16th Planning Board meeting. Does anybody have any corrections? Awesome. I did have one correction I noticed on my meeting notes during conversation with the applicant for conditional rezoning at Emerson Park. I had made comments that I'd like noted for the record regarding my concern regarding the concessions around the commercial square footage when comparing by right as currently zoned and what their conditional zoning proposal was, and those concessions being the reduction in the commercial square footage.
Is that what you wanted to amend?
Yes, please. I'm leaving it broad. I understand that that's a work in progress with possible additional iterations. But I did have concern over that reduction in concession.
That's in there.
Yes, please.
We'll need a motion to adopt the minutes as amended.
Can I get a motion, please, as amended?
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes with the amendments as noted.
Thank you very much. All those in favor, please?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Moving on to general public comment. We do have one person that has signed up to make general public comment. General public comments are limited to 3 minutes. And please, when you approach the podium, speak into the microphone, and please state your full name and address, please. Mr. Luis Cortezo. Thank you.
Luis Cortezo. My address is 4304 Old Steam Forest Drive.
Thank you, sir. Please. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir. On November 21st, 2023, reviewed a petition from the Grand Enterprises and unanimously voted to recommend an approval for a 168-acre property located at 4005 Trail End from Union County R20 to Waxhaw R3, which would also be annexed. Now you're considering a petition from Grand Enterprises to annex and rezone a 5-parcel from R20 to Waxhaw Employment Center. Theoretically, this is usually a 2-step process. The landowner requests the annexation, and then from my understanding, if approved, the property should be zoned to the lowest density. The landowner can then request a conditional rezoning. The parcels in question are adjacent to neighborhoods that have roughly an acre per home, yet somehow they're going to be squeezing 3 homes per acre built. Although the employment center is still not consistent with the 2040 plan, the staff still recommends approval, stating that in the best interest of the town. In my opinion, I just don't feel it's in the best interest of the town. I think others could agree with me on that. You have recommended approval, and the previous board has approved projects that will yield a couple thousand new residents, thousands of new vehicles on the road, and thousands of more children into the already overcrowded school systems that we have here, without the necessary infrastructure improvements to that. You know, at some point in time, I just feel it's important to consider our quality of life and our basic needs for the people who are residents My concern is that Waxhaw is becoming more of an undesirable and desirable place to live at this current time, and people just don't want to spend multiple hours driving in and out of town. And I just don't feel that it's reasonable at this point in time to recommend approval. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments this evening. I'd like to make a motion to close general public comments, please. Can I get a motion?
It's not needed.
Oh, not needed?
It's not a public hearing.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. Moving on then, item E, old business. Being none, I'd like to go ahead and then move on to new item F, subject 1 for new business. Initial rezoning petition RZ 015121-2023. And I believe Janet is our presenter this evening.
Okay, thank you. So we're here this evening to discuss the initial zoning petition for Graham property at 4518 Trails End Drive. This is an amendment to petition RZ 015121, which was a request by Mel Graham for an initial zoning and map amendment from Union County R20 to Waxhaw Employment Center. The parcel is approximately 5 acres located on Trails End Road just south of Highway 75. Here's a map to show you the location. This is Highway 75 here, Millbridge, and this is the South Carolina border. These are the parcels that we discussed back in November. So all the adjacent properties are currently zoned Union County R20. The parcels here to the east were included in the initial zoning petition presented in November, which received a unanimous favorable recommendation. Anytime we have a rezoning, state law mandates that zoning be undertaken with the consideration of a comprehensive plan. The Waxhaw 2040 future land use map designates this property as medium-density residential. This designation provides for a mixture of housing types, including detached single-family, townhomes, cottage houses, and in some cases duplexes, triplexes, and quads. Density of 3 to 4 dwellings per unit acre, consistent with traditional suburban-style housing currently utilized for a majority of the town's established subdivisions and for large parcels of land adjacent to major transportation routes and existing neighborhoods. On the right, you'll see the Union County adopted plan, their 2050 land use map. The Union County land use map designates the property as employment corridor. Employment corridors have access to transportation infrastructure, such as railways, airports, and major roads, and have available land within a close proximity to similar uses. Employment corridors connect employment nodes and other large job centers throughout the county and neighboring counties. A variety of employment uses may be appropriate along these corridors. Dependent on location and adjacent facilities, development uses that may be appropriate include distribution, logistics, aeronautics, industrial, and agribusiness. Connectivity and roadway capacity should be prioritized in these areas to encourage opportunities for job growth. The proposed zoning is EC, Employment Center, and that allows for the development of larger scale businesses to drive employment and economic opportunities, including a variety of industries and uses that have limited impact on surrounding areas, such as office parks, light or high-tech industrial campuses, and warehousing or distribution facilities. Employment Center is intended to provide for high-quality jobs that have managed impacts in areas that are well connected to current and future regional transportation routes. The reasonableness and consistency statement is the request for the Employment Center zoning is not consistent with the Waxhaw 2040 comprehensive plan, but it is consistent with the Union County 2050 plan. It is reasonable and in the public interest as it will provide diversity to the tax base and allow for high-quality jobs near Highway 75 and the 521 regional transportation routes. So the action tonight is a motion for a favorable recommendation for the amendment and the reasonableness and consistency statement as presented. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Janet. like to go ahead and open it up if there is any questions from fellow members. Any questions?
On the access to those 5 acres, it's using the same inlets or stub outs as the original 60 acres.
So yeah, I believe it would have Trails End is that main road, correct, Janet?
Yes, we don't have an actual site plan yet, but yes, there would be access off of Route 75, and Trails End would be the primary entrance.
And 75, as per Union County, is essentially our major corridor that gives us access to downtown Waxhaw in our heart of our essentially current economic center, and in addition to essentially 521 out towards South Carolina.
Correct.
So that this is essentially mirroring what Union County as a whole would be seeking for as an opportunity to expand Western Union County employment and economic activity. Is that correct?
Correct.
I believe this fits what we've been looking for, what's been sought after in economic growth and opportunity within our county and within Waxhaw as a whole. And I believe this fits not just our plan and our desire as a town and a municipality, but also the county as a whole.
I also want to mention, even though the zoning is R3, our typical R3 subdivisions don't really yield 3 units per acre. We're averaging about 2.2 kind of throughout town. So they will have to provide the site plan and bring back a preliminary plat to you all to review. It'll be an administrative review, but you do have the opportunity to make a recommendation on that preliminary plat. But by the time you get the roads, tree save, the open space, the detention ponds, and park and fee in lieu, we're closer to that 2 units per acre, which would be the same as the county's R20 is 20,000 square foot lots. It's very similar.
Which I'd like to add into. I've been studying the county a little bit because I know that is essentially we are looking at the county in mirroring some of their policies in these corridors. The county is also offering a density bonus now to R20, increasing the density from 2 to 2.5 units an acre, where essentially where we have additional caveats with traffic impact study requirements that are greater than the county's, that would directly be supportive of essentially residents and getting those needed road improvements where these opportunities do exist.
Our TIA mitigations are much more strict than the county's.
Awesome. Any other questions? Can I get a motion, please? Can I please get a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you very much. All those in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, speak into the mic. They can't catch they're playing this online live, so please lean in and speak into the mic.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I'd like to go ahead then and move on to text amendment TA 132024. Lisa is our presenter this evening on this.
Alright.
Thank you. Tonight we're looking at amendment to the Land Development Code. It's chapters 4 and 13. We'd like to establish a distance requirements for smoke and tobacco retailers to lessen the negative impacts of the land use on the youth population. We do have the ability through the NC state statutes and law to regulate land uses through zoning if it's related to kind of a health and safety matter. So the table of permitted uses is chapter 4. We are looking to remove the use from neighborhood center. It will no longer be an allowed use. We also already allow it in Main Street, Town Center, and commercial corridors, so we're proposing to keep that the same. The proposed text amendment will also define smoke and tobacco shops, and we're going to add supplemental regulations. So they have to be 1,000 feet from one another, from another shop. They are required to be 1,000 feet from any public or private school, and then 1,000 feet from a public park. So here is our vape shop locations, our vape map. Currently we have 3 in the downtown area. This one is across from Emmett's, like around the Millview area. As you can see, it's 1,000 feet from a school, which is in red. Also in green is the public park system. Here's another one, I think it's in the gas station along Broome Street. And then the third current location is over by the Pizza Hut. So all 3, 2 of them are within 1,000 feet of each other. This one's 1,000 feet from a public park. We also have an additional vape shop behind Town Hall in the Food Lion Shopping Center. So any existing use would be grandfathered. Any new use would have to meet these requirements. One thing that's missing is a private school along Kensington at the Forest Hill Church. There's North Point Academy. That would be added to this map. So if any other vape shop wanted to come in town, they would have to meet all these requirements. They could only go in the red or downtown areas, but the downtown areas are pretty much occupied by public park or school locations.
Able to look at actually definition of vape shop as an organization or as a license is the vaping equipment or vaping. So it's not just necessarily vaping. But if they're bringing, if they have a state or federal license to be able to sell it, we do that with ordinance. So if the gas station sells it or anything else sells it, then we can be limited because of it's a license with the state or federal government.
So this text is for the primary use, is the sales of vaping or smoke products. If it's an accessory to the use, such as a grocery store, their main permitted use is to sell groceries. Some of them have the vending machines, or a gas station has the sale of those types of products. Those are still allowed. This is regulating the primary use as a smoke or vape shop.
The question was asked was, can we expand it?
Can we?
And that's our question, like, can we expand it? Because to me, it's the same type of situation where you have a bunch of vape shops, and people say, well, it's not primary, so you have all over the place. But it's all because they're in whatever barber shops, whatever it might be. Because my concern is that vaping becomes more and more mainstream. You have them everywhere, because everyone's selling it. So my question is, instead of saying it's primary use, let's say that it's out there approved to do it. Because to me, that's not too hard to regulate if they're in a situation where they are
with that, where it comes into the fact where if a business is selling it as a supplementary item, if you go to a gas station and you're purchasing that item, they have a greater fiduciary responsibility to make sure that they're abiding by and not selling to underage minors, because therefore they would be risking their primary business, i.e., let's go with a gas station. They would be risking themselves and opening themselves up to legalese, and also in addition to state and federal fines for underage selling. Whereas a standalone business, where we can control it, I believe is what Lisa is pointing to, is we can set parameters around the zoning. That is within our bounds and our purview, and we're in the additional, essentially, prohibitives of sales dives into some state and state regulations that might be a little bit beyond us, but it doesn't it's worth merit on exploring. Maybe if it is a large proportionate piece of the business, making sure that they're not trying to sell accessories and then products on the side. So to where there's still their primary category is maybe accessories or paraphernalia, and then they have a small proportion on the side. So maybe to include that possible language, to include like for example, if someone is saying that they sell the hookahs, but they just sell predominantly the hookahs, and then tobacco makes a small portion of their display case, but their main operation is a hookah, the actual item, they would still then be a standalone business for selling the accessories and then including the tobacco products.
I guess, but I would say that a grocery store has less reason. If you're a vape shop and you can do it for business, from the grocery store, it's been selling. It's a problem to another agent. Again, it's whatever. It's just I can just see this developing. It's becoming more and more mainstream. You start seeing this everywhere, and that's my concern is, and that's to know if I'm a grocery store, if I'm that concerned about getting fined, or if I'm losing my business. Again, I'm just curious. I don't know what their limitations are. Anyway, the point that you said, I would say, well, we cannot regulate tobacco products. So because of that, I don't know if we're processing on or not. But if we're not, it seems like to some degree we should be making a comment say, we want these products sold within 2,000 feet of schools and so forth. Whether they're being sold in a barber shop, or being sold in a vape shop, and that's the question I was asking. If we don't have the legal authority to do it, that's fine. It's at least worth asking the question of looking at the license to do it. As we say, licensed organizations can't be within 1,000 feet of a school if we have a license to sell tobacco products. If that's legal.
Charlie, do you
Well, we could certainly look into that, but my gut reaction is that land use regulations are just that, land use regulations. We're not in the business of policing specific products. I understand what you're saying. We can constitutionally establish a location differential under local regulations, because these otherwise are lawful products. And so to say that the vast majority of the public who are utilizing these and are non-minors, you're going to get into interference with interstate commerce, federal preemption, etc. You're going to get in, so you let the federal regulatory and state regulatory agencies who are licensing for the use of these, we could then, at the local level, then can regulate location when it is potential a serious detrimental harm to children. Not so much is it to the adult. Adults can make adult decisions, supposedly. But children don't have the mindset yet. Their brains have not matured. So the city will step in and say, okay, under public health, safety, and welfare, we can regulate this use, this primary use, but only to the extent that we can't prohibit it, but we can. But put in location differentials. So that's kind of where we are. If you try to go beyond that, then you're going to get into not only federal and state preemptions, but you're going to get into Interstate Commerce Act claims and things like that. So there are all kinds of
That's about the question was outside the community schools and not allowing anybody who's licensed to sell it outside the community schools without purview. Saying that
well, then they're going to deny Harris Teeter to move in within 1,000 feet of a school. I don't think you can do that.
Well, and I'd like to bring up something too. In addition, who is more likely to advertise those products? Is Harris Teeter's going to advertise those products? Is your local mobile station or Circle K going to be advertising those products? I think that where we are at is staying within the bounds of essentially where we can essentially administer something, and is saying if you're a standalone business, you can do business in Waxhaw, but you can't do business this close to our kids.
So
That's
the,
a land use regulation.
yep.
And that's where we can step in under our authority as a planning and advisory board.
So we do have the definition of principal use as the primary purpose or function that a lot serves or is intended to serve. And then our accessory use is a use that is subordinate and clearly incidental to that of the principal use of land and located on the same lot therewith. So I don't think we can get into a percentage of sales. It's just if a gas station is the permitted use if they have the accessory vending machine.
But we would be covered under, like, if their primary purpose is the accessory or the tobacco product or vessel, that they would still be an accessory to, and so we could still, that would still fall under the purview of our regulations on standalone business. They're correct?
Correct.
Awesome.
So, here's a special requirement. A is the 1,000 feet measured from any other smoke and tobacco shop. B is 1,000 feet from any school or park. And then C, there shall not be more than one use subject to these standards on the same property or in the same building, structure, or portion thereof. So if you have a shopping center, you can't have more than one. We also are now defining smoke and tobacco shop. We didn't have a definition in the past. A includes the tobacco and nicotine. B gets more into the THC types of products. C is your kratom. D, your vape products. And then E. So tonight's motion is to recommend approval of text amendment petition 13/2024 as written or amended, and to, I should say, adopt the land use plan consistency statement as follows. And we're trying to get the board to read them out loud, so we'll ask you all to do the same when you make the motion.
And may I explain that last thing that it's just said, that read it out loud, because people who are looking at it on streaming cannot see the board. People sitting in the audience cannot see the board. So your motion has to state specifically what it is that you're recommending, and that includes the reasonableness and consistency statement, because part of the public cannot see the board. That's the reason.
Deepa, thank you.
Sorry, I have a question. You previously mentioned the existing current shops will be grandfathered, right?
Correct.
Is there any verbiage that's going to be in there to that effect, or how do we define that?
Say that again.
Is there any verbiage that's going to be in there, or how do you define that?
We have existing grandfathering use section in our LDC that
Right.
allows for that, so we don't need additional
Okay.
language.
It would fall under non-conforming, essentially.
Correct. Legal non-conforming.
And then if they, if for example, like so if someone wanted to move and they wanted to move within the same shopping center, that they would then essentially lose their grandfather status.
And they will have to follow the new
And then they would have to,
requirements.
they would have to
I just
follow
wanted to
them.
clarify that.
Yeah, correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Like to go ahead, Lisa, if you don't mind jumping back, like to,
I can make a motion.
Thank you.
Make a motion to recommend approval of text amendment petition 13/2024 as written, and to adopt the land use plan consistency statement as follows. The land use plan consistency statement is the text amendment request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future planning goals for the town of Waxhaw and is reasonable and in the public interest in an effort to reduce tobacco and hemp activity with the youth.
thank you all. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Moving down, we have our amended item F3 for a presentation on an staff update for our GIS mapping.
Thank you. So, we had been asked to create a map of our traffic mitigations. Try to close that. I'm trying. All right. There it goes. Okay. So we created a map that shows each of the developments that have been approved and what the traffic mitigations are that were required when we did the TIA studies. So if you see here, these are all of the traffic mitigation requirements. I believe there are 50 some odd of them, but you can click on the name of the development. It will zoom you in. This is the Adelina development, and these are all of the traffic mitigations that are required. So it'll, when you click on each of the numbered spots, it'll tell you the name of the intersection and then let you know what is required there. And you can see that the mitigations go out far beyond where the actual development is. If there are traffic mitigations that need to be required off-site, they're listed on this map as well. And these are the diagrams that were included in the traffic mitigation reports that we get from Kimley Horn. So this is just a quick preview for you. This is not live on our website yet. It's completed, but we're just going through and editing, making sure that everything is accurate before we post it to the website, but we should have that available to the public within the next week or so.
Janet, one of my questions is I saw that you clicked on essentially one of our crucial intersections that we've been discussing at Waxhaw Marvin and Bonds Grove. Yes. And I know that within the mitigation study, we talked about essentially the additional right-hand turn lane.
Mm-hmm.
My question is as we go into those phases, and if those policies or mitigations change, like we've talked about a traffic circle being implemented there, will we be able to update it in time or to keep a perpetual status of within those updates? on
Yes,
those
this is a living document, and I've been working with Linda in our engineering department, so she's trained on how to make corrections or additions to the map. So we're working together to make sure that as any new items come in, that they're included on here.
Awesome. That way, now we have something that us as a board and the citizens can reference, and so they can see, hey, what happened to, the traffic circle was discussed there, but now there's just a right-hand turn lane.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was discussed, and that was part of essentially the mitigation requirements, but it doesn't mean that there may be additional improvements that might go beyond just the minimum or required improvements, like a traffic circle.
Right, as things change, this map will be updated.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure this is really great you're doing this because
Pallavi, into the microphone, please.
Tentative timeline when we have this available for public.
I expect it to be available to the public by the end of next week at the latest. We've just been going through and making any corrections, making sure that everything is accurate, and that should be done definitely by the end of next week. And we'll do some social media posts when that's available.
But I think this is really great effort, and I think it's needed.
Any other questions? Janet, I think this is going to be very helpful for the citizens to see essentially some of the fruitions of road improvements and so they don't just see, like Ted said, a rezoning, that there is some progress being made to address these concerns, and these concerns are warranted. Road improvements are crucial, and it's nice to actually see something that they can visualize now. And so I'm very excited to see this, and thank you for all of your hard work on this mapping.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have a work session. I don't believe we have a topic for a work session, do we, Lisa? Then I'd like to go ahead and make a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Be having fun.
All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Thank you.